Well, ladies and gentlemen, so welcome to our planetary through Nakshatra series of the week. And this week we're going to be covering Saturn in the Nakshatra of Hasta. That means if Saturn is in the sign of Virgo and in the Nakshatra of Hasta in your horoscope, what does this do? Okay, so Nakshatras are these constellations working behind the scenes of a zodiac sign. Just think of zodiac sign as the box and Nakshatra as the wheel of the truck. They're pulling the box cart, okay? And nakshatras are pretty much the more personified detail of each zodiac sign. So like how three different people in the zodiac sign of Virgo may act differently, may have different traits. Why? Because of the fact their planet, their sun, moon, ascendant lord, might be in a different degrees of this nakshatra, so they get a different result because that degree will determine what nakshatra this planet is in. Okay, so if you do not know what planet your nakshatra is in, all the other astrological details, for that check out the links here. Check out my full astrological report, including my books, Astrology, Conjunction Aspects, and Mahadashas at the Speed of Light, including all my consultations at this link. So, Saturn in the nakshatra of Hasta. Hasta, as you know, is a nakshatra that represents the hands. And it's also represented as symbolism by the fists. Because Hasta represents your ability to use your hands, to heal people, to protect people, to do the work that is necessary. Because from Leo, Saturn came through Leo, the kingdom, went into Uttara Falguni Nakshatra, which was the nakshatra of doing all the contract work, making negotiations. Hey, let's start building this. I need a contractor, or let's make a negotiation here. That was a nakshatra of negotiation. Now that the contracts are made, with Saturn moving from Uttara Falguni Nakshatra, now we come into the Hasta Nakshatra in the Virgo, which is all about, okay, so now that we got the real estate, the building contract to build this building, well, let's build it. So Hasta represents the actual work, the hard work. Yet it represents the critical work. It also represents a person's ability to tap into ancient knowledge. Person's ability to tap into the subconscious mind, which has all the recorded history, which has all the recorded spiritual knowledge. And especially because this nakshatra is ruled by moon, this nakshatra is all about doing different things at different time. Like this nakshatra always has to have some sort of a work happening. They can't do routine, repetitive work at once. Because remember, moon is like a quick moving planet. If you said moon, no, you stay here and you do this one work, moon will not like that. Moon will not appreciate that. Moon wants to be able to do different things. Moon wants to wax and wane. Okay? Just like moon waxes and wanes, tide goes high and low, our work also needs to differ from hard work to light work to hard work to light work. Now you're putting Saturn here. Saturn is a planet that first of all moves very slow. Saturn is a planet that represents our work ethics, our karmas. Like what exactly the results of our karma is, you have to study Saturn for that. Saturn represents servants, discipline, structure, organization, sacrifice, duty, commitment. Like I'm committed to you. That's my Saturn. If I'm not committed to you, if I cheat on you, that means my Saturn is very weak. That's what Saturn is. So what is it doing in this dynamic of the nakshatra of Hasta? Well, it's in the sign of Virgo, first of all. Saturn loves being a sign of Virgo. Virgo is all about detail-oriented things, like looking at nitty-gritty details, being very critical to things. Okay, being workaholic, doing routine repetitive work, which is the sign of Virgo. Virgo is about doing the work because it's the original sixth house. It's about service, non-profit organizations. It's about the working class, which Saturn represents. So this is why Saturn loves being in the earth sign. It wants that practical connection. But now it's sitting in the nakshatra of Hasta. What is it going to present here? First of all, Saturn shows that a person loves to work hard, loves to work long hours with their hands. Saturn will show that one will also have, like especially if Saturn represents a servant, if you have Saturn in the nakshatra of Hasta, you will notice that their hands might be long and they may also have some pain like some sort of a constant pain onto your servant's hands. Also, this can represent that a person becomes very critical with their hands, very good with their hands. When they work, they will work to the point when that thing that they're working on with their hands is perfected. When they write, they become great novelists. Because remember, novel writing requires like literally 6-7 months, 2 years of work and writing. It's not like a 100-page book. Novel could go up to 300, 400 pages easily. Saturn, the nakshatra of Hasta, loves to heal people with hands. Saturn loves to do mechanical work, plumbing, electrical work. Saturn also becomes very good at farming. Saturn represents, if you have servants, anytime you help your servants, especially you give them gloves, you give them anything to help their hands, you'll notice your karma improves, your life improves in general. Saturn, which represents the karma, your actions, and actions are always performed with hands. These people must do the right thing. Like with Rahu, one can do the wrong thing in Hasta and still get that great $1 million, that great buck. You know, like let's say with Hasta Nakshatra, Rahu can be good at, shooting a gun. And so he shoots the gun, gets the person's possession, runs away, sells it, makes money. Saturn, when you have Saturn and you do something wrong with your hands, Saturn will give you its repercussion back right away. And because of the fact this nakshatra represents the tamasic, rajasic energy, and especially Saturn activates that tamasic energy, shows they must work hard and they will always persevere with hard work. When you have Saturn prominently placed, don't think things are going to come easy in your life. They're not. You're going to have to work very hard with your hands. And usually these people do very well in mechanical fields. They do very well in technical fields. Not just like IT, but mechanical engineer, civil engineer. Somebody who uses hands to build things, inventors. And because of the fact Moon rules this nakshatra, obviously Saturn or Moon's place is never the happiest place for Saturn. So here what it shows, whenever Saturn is in Hasta Nakshatra, one gets too attached to their work. One gets too attached to what they are giving themselves to society, too much attachment with what they built. And what happens is when they work on something so hard, it's very hard for them to let go of it. Because Saturn doesn't realize what is emotions. Oh, these are emotions. Oh, I haven't experienced them before, but I love it. I'm working and I'm working hard and I have so much emotional now attached to it, but now I have to let it go. Versus other planets who are more friends with the moon, they'll be like, oh, this is great work. Yes, I was emotionally attached to it, but I know I have to let it go because it's work that has to give to other people, be sold to other people. For them, it becomes that hoarding thing. Like, no, I can't let it go. Even I built it. I don't want to let it go. And Saturn, obviously being the karka of the 6th house, 8th house, shows that this person can become like a hand doctor. Somebody who can go into the medical field related to have fractures of hands, fractures of fingers. Because then they're very disciplined, structured, organized towards how to save someone's hand. So if let's say you have a pain in the hand, find a doctor who has Saturn in Hasta. If Hasta Nakshatra is prominently placed in their Saturn, and Saturn is the 10th lord, their ascendant lord, they will make sure that they fix your hands. They will make sure that every nerve in your finger is now having, current and whatever to make it work. But Hasta, it's all about hard work. Hasta, it's all about using your hands to heal people, using your hands to write, using your hands to work and fight. Saturn, which is a servant, always uses the hands to do whatever it needs to be done. Now, obviously, malefic impact on the Saturn can also make a person, using their hands to kill people, using their hands to beat people. Saturn in the 6th house, in a bad aspects from other planets, can show a person who grew up in a very bad environment, surrounded by criminals, and then they had to use their hands to serve those criminals, which means they had to either steal, rob, kill. So it's not just all the good side of it. It can also be bad side of it. Also, I've seen actually people with sun in Hasta Nakshatra and moon in Hasta Nakshatra were actually palmists. Like they look at people's palms. So, but I've never seen it with Saturn. So it'll be interesting if you guys have the Saturn, you might do palmistry or have interest in palm. This also shows that your hands will be much darker than the rest of the body if you have Saturn, especially in Hasta Nakshatra, and especially if Saturn is in the 3rd house or 11th house. Especially the 3rd house may show that you always seem to get more tan on your skin versus the other body. And also shows that movement of the hands is slow compared to other movement, or somebody else with some other planet in the 3rd house, maybe quick hands, quick things. Where this person is much more detailed, slow, organized, patient. So obviously a sportsman may not be seen with this, but somebody who's a worker who requires like detail, to look into detail and do like, let's say, watchmaking. Watchmaking is quite prominent with Saturn and Hasta, because that required, like, let's say if you're making a Rolex watch, you're not going to assemble one Rolex watch in one day. A single Rolex watch takes about, I think, 6 months to put it together from each part. Saturn in Hasta Nakshatra, a person with that, mostly they do have Hasta Nakshatra with Saturn, where they take each thing and put it. They put like one sector of the Rolex watch each day. So it can take 6 to 8 months, sometimes a year, to build that one perfect watch. This is why those are like the most expensive watches. It takes like 40, 50,000, 100,000. Okay. But remember, with Saturn, whenever you do hard work with your hands, Saturn will bring in good karma in your life. Okay. So guys, this is my analysis of Saturn in the nakshatra of Hasta and the sign of Virgo in your horoscope. If you're new in my channel, subscribe below. And if you want to know where your Saturn is placed, all the astrological details, my books, reports, consultations, for that, check out the links here. Otherwise, we'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.